Hello, everybody! In this episode, I'm going to tell you how the carpet is sewn, although it has a different pattern, but it is the true method of valuation of the above line is the same. Let's show you a unified carpet. What kind of thread was used and what kind of stitch was used to put it on? If we're using ice strips, it's a different shape, but the stitches are the same. That is, in different patterns, the line folds it uses are the same, and then the method of fixing it is the same. We refer to the pattern we actually received according to the reference to the wanda. If there is such a ball line on the top, then we are first to sew the bottom color after. Finally, we're going to fix this, and finally we're going to fix this ball line, and then we're going to talk about grass seeding. In the case of grass, we use this yarn and then we crochet it and fix it. If the yarn is one color, it can be wound in one drum, and if it is two colors together, it is to merge the two colors together. Take the width of your 3 fingers and wind it like this and wind it like this. Don't keep your fingers loose and try to merge them together to remove the flesh. It's not too thick when you wind it, so it's a little bit thinner. And then split it up a couple of times and go like this and cut it from this end and cut it from here. Cut it off and take the finger out and fold it in half like this and pull it down like this and pull it down from this side. Cut the coil open so it's ready to use. If it is a color, we will merge the 2 roots together when using it. The 2 merge together to fix if it's 2 colors, and then 1 color and 1 root. Let's take 2 of them and take a look at this yarn and how do we fix it. Here at the fixed time crochet from the thread, we have here a grid where it is on 4 sides. There are 4 lines, and we only fix 1 line and 1 grid when we fix it. Fix a line up to the line so that the 2 pieces are folded in half after cutting the brick from the line. One side of it goes through here, and we can pick the vertical line. That's the whole line up, and we're going to pick the vertical line if you're going to pick the horizontal line. We're going to hook each row, and then we're going to hook the horizontal row, and it's going to be better to hook the vertical row a little bit, and then from in front of the grid after a grid through the wearing out at the back into the now hanging in crochet. And then I'm gonna cut it out, and then I'm gonna push the needle forward. Pull this end of the hand and then hang it over the crochet hook, and then drag it back through the loop and give it to him. Pull it out and then pull it out and just tighten the coil a little bit like this. So that's going to hold the line in place, and I'm going to show you a closer look at this integral normal with 2 folds in half. It's folded in half, and then we're doing it vertically and then the next grid. It's also the vertical thread that goes in from the front and out from the back. The thread hangs over the cutting needle, and then pull the cutting needle to pull the thread out and push the cutting needle forward. Hang one end of the thread over the crochet hook and then continue to pull back. Pull the wire out of the coil like this and then tighten the coil. This way to fix the pattern shape according to our own grid. And then we're going to fix the first row, and then we're going to fix the second row, and we're going to do the same vertical row. and then the color of the lines used. It's not the same. In fact, his one is mainly the west hairline and the fixing method is the same. Method of the back yarn is the same according to oneself. This size of the pattern makes it the whole grid and just fill it up and it's this length and weir. It's the last thing that needs to be cut because it's fixed and it's not the same length and then we're done with it all. And then you're going to cut it out and you're going to take the uneven line on top and what shape do you want it to be? And then you can mow it and you can mow it flat or you can mow it into a lawn shape. The back is an effect you want according to yourself. And then just trim it and trim it a little bit longer and trim it a little bit shorter. You want him to have this, you want to have the grass effect, you just trim it a little bit short, not too short, so that it has a standing effect. And then the way the yarn is fixed is going to look like this, and let's look at the way the ball and ball and ball and ball and ball and ball and ball we have to. It's divided into groups, and if you've got something that's really long and stuck together, then we have to cut it out ourselves. Do not cut into a single. If a single, there is no way to fix it. If a single, please, there is no way to fix it. When we fix it, we need two of these to fix it. The ball line we have here is from the grid when it's fixed. I'm going to put it on the inside and then I'm going to put the wire over the top of the steaming pot and then I'm going to pull it out, and when I pull it out, this end of the coil is a little bit long. It's long and then you push one back and you give it to him from underneath. Let it out like this and then take out the next set of this fall line. And then you pull it straight out of the coil and then you pull it out and then you fix it if the whole pattern is circular. We can do this and then we can pull it out from the middle one here. And then you drag it out and then you pull out the next set of coils, and if the coil here is still too long, then you start from the first one. So go into the needle and pull this thread for him again. Ball and ball lines we have here when we fix not every box we need to fix him, as long as he is. So standing up can cover the grid cloth below on the line to achieve we do not have a special grain when fixed. It just needs to be fixed all over it, and then he just has to cover one line of the whole pattern. And then the last group we set up, and then after pulling it out, it is also necessary to fix the coil for it first. If it is not too big to go to the wire, we can wear it completely from the inside of the coil. And then the last set, we're just going to pull this ball line right out of the coil. When you're pulling, maybe if the coil is a little bit tight, then you can pull it out a little bit slower. When you pull it out, you pull the line like this and then you adjust the shape of it, and if the same colors are merged, you can twist it like this. And then I'm going to stagger the colors, and I'm going to have a line segment that looks like this. We'll just cut off the extra thread on top after we've fixed it. Let's take a look. We also use this crochet hook to fix the ice thread. From the inside of this grid, first go into the needle thread. So you hook it out and you hook a coil, and then you push the needle forward and you push this end of the thread. Cut it out of the coil and secure it so it holds him tight. This end of the thread stays in place and the needle goes one hole apart and then through the next hole into the needle this end of the thread. Pull out a coil, don't pull it too big, just pull it out and push the needle forward. Hook the wire and pull it out of the coil. After pulling it out, and then the length of this coil we are fixed at. A height of about 15 centimeters is the height of its coil. Then it is not too long and not too short is suitable. And then we have a space where we can hook it sideways. It's the one from the front and then from the back, right and left. The needles can go out of this grid diagonally or side by side or whatever. And then you cut the wire out and then you push a coil needle forward. Once it's out, push the needle forward and hook the line again. Pull it out from the inside of the coil here, and the height of each coil is probably the same, but not too high and not too low. The height of the wire coil is the same, and then it's fixed like this. Depending on the shape of the pattern, and then from the outside of the county round and round the inside, or in a row of rows of this can be fixed. And then we're gonna fix one row over the next row, and we're gonna go into this grid up front. Or then it's time to go to hook the hook. We look at how about going for a good hook to hook the whole circle to hook, or the whole row to check. Just fill it with the whole pattern. If you're going to go round and round the coil, you're going to go round, and then you're going to go from the inside. Fill it slowly. So you can cover all the grid underneath, but you don't have to make it very dense. Finally, after fixing the end of the coil, we can go straight. The last piece of the coil is cut and the end of the coil is pulled out so that the beginning piece of wire is equal to the height of the coil. Cut it all the same, and that's how you hold the ice line. So that's fixed, and then let's take a look at one of the ways to fix the coralline, and the coralline that we use here when we fix it is sewn directly onto it. If there are a lot of threads, when we cut the thread, we should pay attention not to knot it, because if the knot is more difficult to untie the coral velvet. That is, a length of cutting is 70 to 80 centimeters. The length of cutting is about 70 to 80 centimeters, or according to the more appropriate length we use. It is not good to cut it too long. Cut one piece and thread it into the pin with one end shorter and one end longer. And then start to fix from the grid and then weave. What color is the edge of the pattern, and then you cut it. And then it comes out of the edge of the pattern here through the hole, and then it comes out of the back. About 2 or 3 centimeters of a piece of thread, and then we're going to put this back piece of thread into it when we sew. When we sew it in the 3 squares of this grid is one of its lengths, and we don't want to sew it too long in one of the 3 squares. The length of the wind. And then the second row is also from the bottom line edge here. The next one, and then the top 123 from the third one goes like this. Its line segments are not very long, and if you sew it out, this one surface of it is very flat. And then it's very easy to cover up this grid line at the end of this grid. Follow this grain of the line. And then we're going to sew the second row like this, and we're going to switch spaces as we sew. It's going out from the top of the first row. Then the next lattice is also spaced by 3 using pins to sew this thread is. It's very simple, just like we sew things. It's just a line that covers the whole fabric grid. One thread is sewn and then flipped to the back. The needle goes under the back thread like this, and you just press the thread under it. This is one way to make coral wool. It is relatively simple, everyone according to this method. All they need is some colors to sew it all on the line. The whole sewing method of the flat coral velvet is the same, and the sewn out is there. The last thing I want to show you is the ball and ball line coral velvet base color that we have sewn on the top with. Well, there's also this ball thread made of wool. How do we make the ball thread? It is more convenient to sew the bottom layer together and then fix it at the end. Ball line we have for fingers here when we wind the line. This is parallel, and then this is the number of winding coils. A size that holds the ball in place. If the ball is larger, you can go around a little bit more, and if the ball is smaller, you can go around a little bit less. For 5, 6, 8, 8, 9, 11, 12, 13, 14. The size of the ball in general is about 20 to 30 circles. And then cut the thread to make a line. And then you finger the coil that's wound here, and you don't have to take it all off, and then you just pull it out with 2 fingers like this. To separate him in the middle is to flatten the coil for him, and then this end of the thread. Slip it through the coil side and slip it through him again. Fix him in the middle of this, and then you can take the coil off here. Then tie a knot at this end. Pull it tight and secure it again, and that's it. Once you've secured it, you cut the coil so that when you lift it up, the wires at both ends are the same length, and then from. Cut him in the middle like this, and that's how you make a ball line. You just cut it out, and then you pinch it from the bottom up like this if the top line. If it's not neat, then I'm going to cut it out like this, and I'm going to cut it out right here at the top. Once it's built, it'll be all right here. If you ask us first, you can spread the line around here. There are a lot of little valleys in a wool tower. It's just a yarn that has a couple of little grains put together, and it's got a lot of grains put together, and if you want to give it a fluffy feel, you can just take the thread and sort it out like TH. So you can just sort it all out and then let's see how do you fix it. Use a pin to go through one end of the thread and then go through one end of the thread and then hold it in place where we need to hold it and feed it straight through. And then I'm going to take this piece of wire out and I'm going to put it in the other end and I'm going to put it in the other end and then I'm going to put it in here and I'm going to put it in there. The thread has to be a little bit far away and it's going through this hole on the side. And then go to the back end, bring up the ends of the thread and tie each other in knots to secure it. Tie the knot twice or 3 times to make it firm. This way the strings are fixed. This is the base color that we have underneath and then we sew it up and then we have this on the top ball line. We can do it in this way or we can fix it next to this flat line and the learning line next to it. If you have extra lines, you can also DIY. What kind of effect do you want and then add it. Shape according to the drawing we have received. Everyone is finished and there are extra lines. You can also add some things on it yourself. So this is each one of these lines and then one of the things that we use when we're making it. How do we fix it up? If you're not sure, how do we go back and look at it? In fact, the method of fixing each line is very simple as long as you master a method of fixing it, and then make it all according to the pattern we actually received. This set of carpet, a whole method of the tutorial is over here. If you are not clear, you can contact customer service to ask. Well,